I've been walking beneath streetlights. I've been walking, cause I can't find peace on these nights. I've been walking, but my strides are getting slower. Still I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. I've been looking for love, but only found deception. Told my secrets to some people who have not kept.
Welcome to Urban Renal Talk, Tamika.
And Steve, what's going on, Tamika? I know we got some connectivity issues. What's going on, everyone? What's going on, Tamika? You there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Everything is well. Just doing a little research on the link between thyroid cancer and transplant to see, is it meds causing some people cancer? So I'm just doing a little research for a good show.
Oh, okay. You kind of breaking up a little bit. Y'all having a storm up there?
I don't know what's going on, but I just seen that. But yeah, but everything is well. How are you?
Hey, the best to be expected, Tamika. Just trying to take it one day at a time. That's all we can do in this COVID era. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. How did unplugging work?
Oh, it worked well. It only lasted a day and a half.
Why? Why, Steve? Why? It's just okay.
I got to get that information. I know. It's just getting that information out there.
It's out there. The information can be automated. Like a peace of mind is an amazing thing that cannot be compromised. I don't care what information needs to get put out there. Your peace of mind comes first.
Absolutely. No, I agree with you 100%. But I'm going to continue to deplug from social media, a little at a time. Huh?
You can't pour from an empty cup.
You're right.
You can't.
No, absolutely. I agree with you 100%. You look all serious.
Listen, no, Steve, don't get my mommy.
Right. Hey, Tamika.
Yes.
We got a great show. We finally hit the jackpot. A lot of stuff we've been talking about in the past, how these large corporations treat their employees. We know patients go to the different clinics and they may have different experience and may not see the behind the scenes stuff that we see as workers. And a lot of patients don't understand that when an employee such as a social worker, administrator, PCT, or nurse gets blackballed, which is not able to go somewhere else and work or get discriminated or whatever you want to call it, that impacts patient care. Because if you have a social worker or a dietitian that gets let go unreasonably, then who's going to pick up all those patients that social worker or a dietitian were taking care of? It's not like you can go out on the street and hire a dietitian or a social worker like overnight, right?
Nope. There's no one to pick it up. They gotta wait. There's no one to pick it up. They have to wait until someone comes along.
Oh, absolutely. So, like I said, we hit the jackpot tonight. Hey, y'all, share this broadcast. I'm telling you, we're about to give you the 411. Again, we hit the jackpot with this social worker who used to work for Davita for several years. She was unreasonably and unfairly discriminated against and let go while she was in a hospital due to a condition beyond her control, Tamika. A social worker in the hospital. Now, out of all people, not saying that we don't have, responsibility, but a social worker, she got to go in the hospital. She's going to let the administrator know. She's not, she's going to make sure things are covered. So how did it get to a point where we had a person who did all the above, yet to get terminated and blacklisted? It always seemed like the good people, that always happened to the good people.
Steve, that happened to me for Davita.
It happened to me.
I never worked with Davita again unless someone put a word in for me. But nope, only because the FA didn't like me. Once I seen that she was a gossiper, I stopped talking to her. So she used to nitpick and nitpick and nitpick. Until she fired me for workplace violence, and all I did was throw the tape inside the lab as I was leaving out. Seriously.
Right. No, I can imagine how that would look.
She had Karen Black call me, and her and Karen Black was on a three-way and said that I was terminated because I did workplace violence. I threw something in the unit. I threw something in the lab that I threw every single day that I closed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah.
So now we're gonna bring on our guest, because this story is crazy, and this just to show people who do go to these large dialysis facilities that these things happen whether you know it or not. When you say, "Oh, what happened to so and so? What happened to so and so?" and then the staff tell you they got fired or something, and that's not even the truth. People gossiping, telling people's business, and a lot of patients don't know half of it. So we're going to bring our guest on to hear her amazing story and see what she's doing now, all the way from Baltimore, Maryland. Let's give her a special intro, Tamika. Here we go. What's going on, Sade?
Hi, how are you?
Pretty good. Welcome to Urban Renal Talk with Tamika and Steve.
Thanks for having me.
Wow. So what's happening where you at in Baltimore? Y'all get any rain?
Hi, yes, we did. Oh, did we get some rain today? I don't even know. I haven't been outside. I was just preparing for this.
Right. So let's get right to it. Sade, you're a master's license prepared social worker, and you work in dialysis, what, 2 years?
Yes, that's correct. I am a social worker. Mm-hmm.
No, for Davita.
Yes, I was a social worker for Davita. That's correct.
Now, was that your first dialysis clinic that you ever worked for?
That was my first dialysis clinic that I worked for. I was familiar with dialysis because I had a family member that was on dialysis, and one of my close friends is on dialysis as well. So I had experience with knowing about dialysis, but this was my first time actually working for Davita in a dialysis clinic.
Wow. Now, what made you go into that, out of all the specialties that you could have did as a licensed clinical social worker, why did you pick dialysis? Because of your family member?
That and part of it was some of it, but us social workers, we love to help people, and I love the medical arena. I originally wanted to be a nurse at one time, and then when I found out that you could do social work and it was so many different modalities and areas that you can go in, I stumbled across medical social work, and I was like, okay, let me try out this dialysis, and I absolutely loved it.
Wow. Now let me ask you, when you first got into dialysis, what was it about this company, Davita, that made you want to work with them opposed to Fresenius or any other dialysis company?
It's not too many dialysis clinics around. Like Davita and Fresenius are the two major players. So it's kind of like one or the other. Davita was the one that I came across, and it, I mean, I guess the options weren't that huge. And when I went there, I was optimistic about it. I thought that it would be a really good experience, but that turned into a nightmare.
Wow. Now, Tamika, you work with many social workers. Have you ever heard of a social worker? We haven't heard Sade's story, but have you met a social worker that's been blackballed or discriminated against or such the like?
No, I don't really dig. I don't get into it. The social workers, they do them, I do me. I don't know what goes on back there. A lot of times they leave because of pregnancy or whatever, but whatever goes on in the back, I don't too much get with.
No, I understand. I understand. So, Sade, what is it about dialysis that you like other than helping the patients?
One of the things that we had to do a lot of is advocate for the patients. So when patients have grievances or issues or anything of that nature, social workers are supposed to be their go-to, the person that's supposed to be able to help them solve the issues. However, when you are doing certain things, the facility administrator can take over or come into your lane so much. So sometimes it ends up tying social workers' hands behind their backs. So if a patient is complaining about something that's going on the floor, or they feel like they're not treated fairly, the social worker is supposed to be there to provide them with support, to help with remedies. But it also is limited to a certain extent because the facility administrators have complete control over the things or the nature of things in their clinic.
Wow. Now, what are some of when you work with Davita, what were some of the most common grievances that you would run into?
Oh, being put on the wrong bath, people working on the patient, like sticking at access roughly, not telling them what they're doing, feeling like they are just a number, not getting their complete treatment. It was a number of things that go on. People having videos and phones out on the floor. It just ranged and varied from all types of issues. Not having enough time to be with the social worker, dietitians not have enough time to spend with them so they can get their meals or their nutritional needs met. It was a lot. It was a lot of different concerns that they had.
Mm-hmm. Now, you had mentioned when we talked on camera that there could be times where patients file a grievance and each facility is supposed to have a grievance manual, and that even though they file these grievances, sometimes these grievances are removed from the book before the state can see them.
So one of the things that happened to me when I was there is that I had grievances from patients. And when I went to go put them in the book or talk to the facility administrators about what was going on, I would follow up to make sure that they've done what they were supposed to do or see if they talk to the patients. And social workers pretty much spend a lot of time on the floor because they need to get to know their patients. They need to know what the patients need. Patient needs are not just limited to just dialysis things. Some of them are going through depression. Some of them need shelter. Some of them need food. It ranges, So let's just say they file a grievance or say they're having an issue for any reason, right? I would take the grievance, write it, and then you have to take it to the facility administrator because ultimately that is like the head honcho in charge. So sometimes they did nothing with it. Or if you followed up with them about it to say, hey, What's going on with this? Did you talk to the patient? Like I had one facility administrator say, oh yeah, I've done that. Just go ahead and put this or follow up with this. And I was just like, I just saw this patient and I didn't see you talk to the patient. And I'm just like, okay. So you'll see that they'll say, oh, we did this. Oh, I talked to the patient, but you know that they haven't. Or if you talk to the patient, they'll be like, hey, you saw such and such. Still haven't talked to them about that. And then you're letting them know that, well, I did the proper protocol. I took care of the grievance. And sometimes when you bring things to their attention, when people don't want to do something, they get frustrated. And next thing you know, you're not the person that does the grievances no more. So if the policy says that you're the grievance person as the social worker, but the facility administrator decides that they're going to keep the grievance book with them, then you have no control over it. But then when the audits come, when the feds come in, when the state come in, they want you to take the fall for it. And it's like, wait a minute. I thought that you were taking care of this. You took this off my plate. And nobody knows what everybody go dumb at that time. Everything gets stupid and everything gets foggy at that time. And it's just amazing how if you say something or you advocate or you try to do the right thing, they have an issue with you. Like you're dealing with people's lives, you're dealing with patients, and it's simple things that you can fix. A lot of the things were just things that you just need to fix, like management things.
Mm-hmm. Do you feel like there's a lot of favoritism?
Yes. I think, sometimes they say it's not what you know, it's who you know. And that is true to a certain extent. However, when you're dealing with people's lives, some things are just off the table. You know what I'm saying? So that relationship that you have with a person is you only can go but so far with it. If a person cared about their relationship with you, then they wouldn't put you in a predicament to not, they wouldn't put you in a predicament to not do what you're supposed to do, or put you in a situation that could cause you your job or your license. So just be right. Those relationships are fine to have, but you need to understand that I expect you to do this and I have certain expectations for you.
Absolutely. Wow. Now, how does your story begin? Okay, so you come and you work for Davita, you're doing your duties as a social worker. I'm sure the patients are loving you because we had people who commented that said, Bella, I like Sade's passion too.
I love my patients, Steve. Like when I say I took care of my patients, I took care of my patients. Like, you know how people say I'm a social worker? I'm a definition of a real social worker. I loved my patients. I took care of them. You understand me? Like I really took care of them. I put in my all because I treat people the way I want to be treated. You understand me? You reap what you sow. And these people have gone through life-changing experiences. Dialysis is traumatic, especially if you crashed into dialysis. You were thrown into it. And a lot of times, many of them did not know how or what happened, or they weren't fully educated, or they didn't understand the severity of their disease or their comorbidities. So they come in there, they're in distress, they're scared, they're worried about so many different things, like things that you don't even think about, but they're worried about it all. So here we are with these people that have now had these life-altering things that have to go in to dialysis sometimes 4 hours a day, 3 times a week. They're worried about their jobs. They're worried about their spouses. They're worried about their children. They're worried about everything. They're worried about their sex life. They're worried about if they're going to be attractive with this catheter in their chest. They're worried about so many different things because it's life altering. They're worried about if they're going to get a kidney. They're worried about infection. So many different things they're worried about. And as a social worker, you're trying to meet all their needs. You're trying to make sure you can console them as best as you can while they're sitting there hooked up on a machine getting their blood cleansed. Okay? I loved my patients. I took care of them.
Wow.
out and sick, they were looking for me. And it's so sad because when I went out and sick, I never knew that I wasn't going to see those patients again. It was like what was supposed to be the best time of my life, I was expecting, turned into a nightmare. And it was already hard as is. You understand what I'm saying? I was expecting and I was pregnant. I was pregnant with twins, and one of the twins did not survive. So I was miscarrying. And I miscarried the beginning of my pregnancy, but I never missed work. I was at work. Like nobody even knew, and I had fertility issues, which is very hard for a lot of women to discuss. It's hard for African American women to discuss it, but it's also very hard for women in general to open up about their fertility. I had 7 miscarriages prior to my pregnancy, so. Wow. When I had this pregnancy and I found out that I was miscarrying, I was like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But I ended up just losing one twin and the other child was surviving. So I was like, okay. I was like, all right, I can do this. Remind you, I'm at work every day, smile on my face, ready to see my patients. How y'all doing? Good morning. Need anything? How can I help you? Everything good? How's the wife? How's the child? How you get here today, food, anything, making sure they're good. Want to play bingo? If I had some time, play bingo, anything just to keep that spirits up. And although I was going through my own little thing, I felt happy going to work. I didn't have an issue with my job. My job was never an issue. So as the pregnancy went on, I was grateful. Although I had lost one child and miscarried one child, I was grateful to still have the child in me that I had. And then a little bit before December, my water broke and I was only 22 weeks pregnant. And that's a condition called premature rupture of membranes. I went to the doctors. I never forget. I was in there. They checked and they was like, oh my gosh, your water broke. And I was like, what? And I'm just thinking, I'm like, it's too early. It's too early. It's too early. And they're like, you're right. It is too early. And at that time they said, if I was to go in labor, and typically people go in labor within 24 hours, my child wouldn't survive. And they wouldn't do any interventions to save him because he was only 22 weeks. And they typically only intervene at 24 weeks, and some hospitals do 23 weeks. So you can only imagine what I was going through. And it was right before Christmas, and they said, and by the way, sorry to let you know this, you're not going home. And I was just like, okay. So I'm like, okay, I'm trying to be optimistic. I'm like, okay, I can do this. If my baby can stay in, anything, I'll do anything to just make him, be okay. And after that point, it was the holiday, so I was off. And then I think I had contacted my facility administrator at the time. Her name was Dimples Tilva. They called her DJ. And I let her know what was going on. I told her that she knew I was pregnant. I told her that my water had broke. It was a condition called premature rupture of membranes. It could be deadly because you can get an infection because that membrane, the sac, really, people know it as the sac. When you go to see your child on an ultrasound and you see them moving around and wiggling in the water, that is a sac that they're in. My sac had ruptured. So my child had no water. So we had to go through extensive conversations about what this meant. If he comes early, the disabilities that he could have, the neurological issues that he could have, his lungs may not be fully developed because that was an important time for my pregnancy. His lungs needed to be healthy. So a few days come, no child, no baby comes, and I'm like, okay. And and the doctor comes in and let me know, okay, so you have went past the time that we thought, and She said, you went past the time that we want. That was a congratulations. So you're going to be here until the baby delivers. But no matter what, your son is going to be premature. We can't let you go to term because it's too deadly. It was the risk of infection was high, sepsis, anything. And then I found out that he was breech. I think he was frank breech. So I had to be on bed rest for sure, because it was a possibility that his umbilical cord, which could just fall out, and that could kill him. So it was like a lot going on. So I contacted my facility administrator. I let her know, and she was like asking me questions like, well, are you still coming back to work? Are you going to do this? And I'm like, yeah, absolutely.
What?
But hear me. I still told her, I was like, yes, I'm coming back to work. You know, it seems my child comes, but no matter what, he's going to be premature, blah, blah, blah. So I'm giving her the whole spiel as the doctors were telling me, and I'm still trying to take this all in. My whole life has just changed. It's the holidays. I miss Christmas. I miss New Year. Like everything was just going so fast. Next thing I know, I get a letter basically saying that my position was going to be terminated. And I was just like, well, wait a minute. And I'm calling their people services. I'm talking to human resources. I'm like, what in the world is going on? How is this even possible? I haven't even been here a whole full 2 weeks yet. I just got here. I don't even know what's going to happen. How are y'all getting rid of me now? And, you know, as a social worker, you're educated on certain things. I'm like, what about the Pregnancy Act? What about the Americans with Disability Act? You know, what about me? And my facility administrator, DJ, she was like, oh, yeah, we're going to see what we can do. We're going to do this. Remind you, when social workers are out, they would cover a clinic or something like that or help out. So they had coverage to cover the patients. It was not any reason for them to terminate my position or to even look for someone else. It didn't cause a hardship to the company. It did not cost anything. But I had heard different things about her being racist, honestly. We won't just call a thing. And sometimes race is hard to talk about, but it's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? I had heard it. But I was like, okay, I was trying to think maybe that's not what it is or whatever. Then, you know, you guys start bringing it back. Like, I'm like, oh, yeah, that time that did happen. I remembered that it was a nurse there. She was Nigerian. And I remember when I was in my office, I heard her on the phone. She was calling people services and she was really upset. And she was talking about how she was having issues with the facility administrator and she was just tired of it. And I remember her saying that she was racist against her, that she even had got to the point where she was like making fun of her accent, and she was Nigerian. Well, I think she was from Nigeria, if I'm not mistaken. Wherever she wasn't from the US. So I had heard those things and I heard it for my own. I heard it. But, you know, I'm just like, oh, wow. Okay. All right. So I'm taking it in. I'm like, well, you know, maybe I could be wrong. Maybe this is not a thing. But then a lot of other stuff came out in the midst of it. You know, people have microaggressions. You know, sometimes people want to say that racism is blatant, but it's not always blatant. It's not. People are sneaky. You don't really see people go around like, hey, really don't like you because you're black or you're white or you're things like that. I mean, right now with the state of everything that's going on, arguments ensue and then you see it, but sometimes it shows up differently and people are sneaky with it. You understand what I'm saying? Like they do things underhanded to you, and it sometimes they'll make you want to think that you're crazy. And I'm like, no, why would you do this? Why would you act like this? Why would you treat me like this? I didn't do anything. Here I am taking care of patients with disabilities, okay? Getting them FMLA, filling out their disability paperwork, doing everything I can for the company to make them be able to get that money, and advocating for my patients to keep their jobs so they don't get fired from their jobs for their disabilities of being on dialysis and having chronic kidney disease. And I ended up out of a job. So I was just like, how is this possible? I could not believe that I'm sitting up here helping people maintain their job and advocating for them to not lose their job because they are dealing with disability. They dealing with end-stage renal disease. They have to get their dialysis. And my job was on the line the moment I had a disability. The moment it was out of my control. Like it was completely out of my control. And it wasn't like it was a chronic disability. I was just like, and it's temporary. I was like, it's temporary. I was just like, I can't believe you doing this. Like, why? And when I say she was relentless, she had no remorse for me. No remorse for me at all. Like not none. To the point, I remember it was getting close and I had like, it was people coming to visit me. Like I was in a hospital. My nursing staff, when I say that they took care of me, my family was supportive, my social work friends, people from the job, they were bringing me food. I had cravings because like y'all gotta understand, you in a hospital. I ended up being in a hospital for almost 3 months, guys. I had cravings. I'm pregnant. I was tired of like the hospital food. So my friends would bring me food up there. People from the job was like reaching out to me, brought me stuff. So they knew the state that I was in. And once I found out that my job was on the line, it sent me into a really deep and dark depression in the hospital. It really did, to the point where I contemplated AMA, leaving this medical leave. I begged the doctors. When I say I begged them, I said, please. I was like, I had this, like, I'm going to lose everything. I don't like, it's not like you in a situation where it's like, I can apply for a different job. You know what I'm saying? And do these, like, I'm in the hospital. I'm trying to give birth to my son. And I already have lost so many, like I had so many miscarriages. And I'm like, please, I'm like, God, what did I do to deserve this? I begged DJ. I begged my FA. And I don't even like to say I begged because it's so embarrassing to think it. I begged her to give my job away. I pleaded with her. I'm like, I've done this. I've helped out with this. I helped her. Like the patients used to complain about her because she was nasty. She didn't even she would walk through the lobby and not even speak to them. I'm like, how do you not speak?
I've seen that a lot.
They pay your salary. They pay my salary. Thank you for coming to get your treatment. Thank you for coming to thank you. Just thank you. Anyway, just thank you. Good to see you. I'm glad you're smiling today. Thank you for coming in today. Like, people get into these positions and they forget, like they just forget that they're human. I don't know what they're thinking. Honestly, I literally begged her to have mercy, to not give my job away. And when I say it just made her more sneaky. She gave my job away. Once I delivered, I went through a whole nother set of complications, right? So once I delivered, it was discovered that I had something called placenta accreta, and it's like a worse form where the placenta, it attaches itself to the uterus, and mine was like enmeshed inside of my uterus, right? I hemorrhaged. I lost almost half my blood. It was 1.8 liters of blood going on the table. They had to call all these big doctors in, like, to help or whatever, because they was like, oh, she might not make it. So that was like going on when I delivered. I had to get blood transfusions. I had hematomas. I mean, everything that could possibly go wrong with a pregnancy at that time, with my delivery at that time, it went wrong. So after I delivered via C-section, I ended up having to go into like a 3-hour surgery or something. They was really trying to save me. Like, they had to do a lot. And I made it out, through the grace of God. I survived. I was fine. And then when I got out, of course, my son had to go to the NICU, right? And that was hard. But then when I It's just hard. I'm sorry. I'm just like reliving the moments of everything. Oh my gosh. It was crazy. I remember I went home and I wasn't feeling well, and I kept going back to the doctors. And the doctors was like, you just been through a lot, you just got to heal, you decondition and things like that. And I'm like, yeah. And they had taken care of me there. But I'm like, no, something else is wrong. I don't feel well. And I remember like I was telling my family and my friends and them, I was just like, I don't think I'm going to really make it. And they're like, what is wrong with her? What is going on or whatever like that. And they remembered that I was so depressed about the things that was going on with work too. And then, after delivering, they were like, oh, it's postpartum. And some of it, and it definitely was attached to work. And some of it was postpartum as well. But I really wasn't feeling well. So I went back to the doctor and I was just like, I'm going to try this again. And I went to the doctor and I said, I really, really, really don't feel well. And the doctors was like, well, we know you're fine. And he was like, but we're going to just check one more time. And they did another CT scan and they saw that I had pulmonary embolisms and that blood clots in your lungs. Like, I don't know if people know what it is, but it's kind of like what the Serena story was, where she had blood clots in her lung that could potentially kill you. I ended up having them and they found it. So that was another thing added on to everything that I was going through. And when I say I was so sick, I felt so sick. I was trying to breastfeed. I had to go to the NICU to try to see my baby. It was just hard. And here I am. I was pleading still for my job. I still was contacting them like, please, I don't even know what I'm going to do at this time. Even if if I can just get back to work and try to pay these hospital bills, like it was just crazy. So when I talked to her, it was just like, she was just like, almost like she was disgusted. Like she didn't want to deal with a person that had issues going on. And it's like, oh, well, is your son going to be this? Are you going to have a babysit? Like just asking me all these questions that were totally irrelevant. I'm like, of course I'm going to be able to work and take care of my child and things like that. And I was like, I promise that the NICU is not going to interfere with him. It's not. The NICU is open 24 hours. Even if I got off of work and slept at the hospital, it doesn't even have anything to do with my job. And I guess she didn't want to deal with the appointments for my child. Like it was just a nightmare.
Wait a minute. Wow, let me just stop because you said a lot. Tamika, I want to get your take on this because you were hospitalized for several months when you was pregnant a couple of years ago and you went through your own battle. But hearing Sade's story, what comes to your mind, with this company doing something so unfair to her like this?
I think that was personal, because I've been out for my pregnancy, my meniscus, my blood clots, different surgeries that I had, and I've never encountered that. Like that was that was personal, and it's crazy because she was a really good social worker compared to what I had at my unit. But the social work I have is just I'm not gonna go there. But yeah, like that is, I'm stuck. I'm really stuck. I'm lost for words.
I'm lost for words too.
I'm lost for words, Steve. I ain't never seen no type of.
That is personal.
That's personal. That's a personal vendetta. And I think it's so unfair that they get to fire someone on something personal. They get to blackball someone on something personal and has nothing to do with their job performance.
She bragged about what she had done. And like, she bragged about it. And people were like, wow, you were able to get rid of somebody that was on medical leave. And it's like, like people, they delight in evil. Like they delight in it. It was like, it made her feel good. She bragged about it. Like it was going through the village. Like Davita calls it the village.
She
it was like
wanted to bring in her kind. And I don't mean to say that against anyone that's watching this broadcast, but there is a lot of racism in these units. but she probably wanted to bring in her kind.
Now, wait a minute. I'm sorry, Sade. Let me just ask you a quick question. Audrey wants to know, how were you defended by HR? You could have even gotten an attorney.
I reached out to HR. I pleaded with them. I mean, I went so far as to contact Davita on social media to tell them what happened. Like, I was on social media, like contacting Davita, like all over, like, hey, like Davita, like here it is. I'm like, hey, I'm letting them know what happened to me. I'm letting them know, I'm like, I have been a social worker. Even if I could just advocate, what happened to me was so unfair. And when I went to HR, they was like, oh, I'll talk to her, or we'll see this, or we'll try to look at this. You could try to just see what else is out there. So then this started the other stuff. So, right, I go and I'm trying to get another job. Okay. So I'm like applying in the village. And remember, y'all, when I say village, it's because they call themselves a village. The person in charge is the mayor, and we were the teammates, right? So I applied for one job. It was open. It was right there. The job was available, open. I applied. Next thing I know, they're like, oh, we already hired somebody for this position, right? So I'm like, okay. HR sends me some jobs to apply for. They sent it to me. So I applied for the job that they told me to apply for, and contacting like the units. They would not hire me. So I'm like, what in the world? Why wouldn't I even get first dibs? Like, why wouldn't I be considered first when I supposed to been an employee there? Then I found out that DJ had got promoted to the group FA. So now she's not just a facility FA, she's over the region. So I'm like, I can't catch a break. But at the same time, I'm like, why would somebody do this? But you know what? You ever heard the saying, the wicked flee when no man pursues? It was like, it was getting out what had happened to me. People were talking about my story. They were talking about how I survived and stuff like that. And I felt like she really didn't want people to know the nastiness that she had done, the wickedness that she had done. I think that she didn't want it to get out. So that was her way of keeping me blackballed. I was I was on it. I was trying to get back because I'm like, I have my son. He had, he's premature. He's in an EQ. I got these bills coming in. I'm like, God, help me. I got to get back to work, at least so I can just do something. When I say they block me, when they blackball you, baby, that's a whole nother beast. You understand me? I could not get through no way. I was calling the clinic personally. I even sent stuff to HR like, hey, this clinic is about to open up. I'm your social worker that was there. Remember me? Pregnant, lost a job, and nothing. They were like, oh, we're sorry, this and this and this. Everything all of a sudden was just not available, nothing to do. So the social workers that knew what was going on, they banded together, and they like, no, we're gonna have to, we're gonna do this. We had to really, really put things together, like to try to get me back to work. Okay. Like when you say how you see the FBI movies when they got the webs and they putting the stuff like that, we had to really get there because we got to figure this out, because every angle that I was going at, they had it on lock. Davita had locked down. DJ, when I say close fist, she had it locked, covered everywhere she can. Like everywhere I tried to come, it was like, boom, shut down. So we trying to figure out how's this happening. So we get together and we like, okay, so this person knows this person and that person trained that person. So they have a relationship. This person right here is sleeping with this person. So that's closed down. This person at this unit wants a promotion. So she's kissing this person's tail and will do anything to that person. So that's it. And this person right here, she's friends or close to this person. So once we started being able to put the relationships and the connections together, we had to really be able to filter through how to get back in. So what happened was the social workers, Lord, they came together, they was on it. They found somebody that was about to leave the company, and they notified me and let me know before it was even put out there. And they did that on purpose. So this way is like, they always say, oh, you gotta have the proof, you have the proof. This was like the proof in the pudding, like, no. They can't deny this. They can't say that it's not available. They can't, because she hasn't even put in her notice. So I contacted them before she even put in her notice and let them know that she was leaving and that I should get her position and, going, just fighting. When I say I was fighting, y'all, I was just fighting. I was tired too. I was tired and I was fighting. And then finally, I was able to, they were like, okay, we'll get you in. So this is HR lady, like, okay, they had to pull some strings and do whatever they did. And then they got me in. And once I got back to work, when I say what I thought I went to hell before, baby, that retaliation that they put on me, that was a whole nother, now we talk about a whole nother monster. It was
Wow.
Once I got back, I'm like, God, I'm thankful. I'm thankful. Just like, okay, if I could just get back and just, just do this and do that. That was a whole nother monster once I was able to when I got back.
Wow. Hey, let me just chime in for a second. Lisa Baxter and someone else had mentioned a union was needed, but let me tell you something, Lisa Baxter, about unions in Davita and Fresenius. When you go through the training orientation, they stick in a training film to discourage you of forming or joining any type of union. Once you do that and they hear about it, your ass going to be on the chopping block, because I know in Maryland it's an at-will state, so they can fire you for anything and not even tell you. And Sade happens to be in Maryland, which is an at-will state, which gave DJ the right, well, not the right, but gave her the green light to fire her over anything. And something like this, like she said, once people found out what she did, she'd be known as like, you a cold, I'm not going to say the last word, but you a cold somebody to be doing something like that to someone in their darkest moments.
Wow. Did they allow you to get unemployment?
No, so when I came back and I went in, I was supposed, it was a social worker. She was a full-time social worker. Remember, I told y'all I knew she was leaving, so she was leaving and I was coming. Right there. We just swapping, just that. As soon as I stepped foot in there to go, they were like, oh no, this is not a full-time position. They made me do her job that she did in 40 hours and only gave me, I think, 24 hours or 27 hours or something. I had to do her same job. So
that's crazy.
When I say they was ready to put that whipping on me, they like, oh, you came back, you got back, you made it back, okay, we got something for you. And here I am, I'm fighting again. Remind y'all, I'm still on blood thinners, treating this, the blood clot, because I had to come back to work. I was a worker, I was a dedicated worker, and I'm still sick. I'm still not fully well. I'm not fully recovered at all, but I'm just trying to take care of my baby. I'm just trying to do what I can. And they cut the hours. And I was like, how is that possible? They never responded. Like, when I say it was like nothing. And I'm like, well, what's the difference between me and the other social worker? The only difference was I'm Black and she white. But I mean, like, here we are now. Like, we both had our credentials. We both like had experience with the dialysis clinic. Like, what would be the reason for me to have my hours cut severely and y'all make me do her job that y'all gave her 40 hours to do and make me do the same job? And they didn't cut me I didn't get cut no slack. That labor that she produced in the 40 hours, I had to produce that same labor in 20 something hours for them patients.
Wow.
That is.
Tamika, I mean, I'm kind of speechless because, I mean, if you think about, I don't know what size the unit was, but if it was, say, let's say 30 chairs, I mean, and if you're talking all 30 chairs filled up for 3 shifts, that's 90 patients a week.
The other case was they had somebody that was there that was working the 40 and I was taking over her position. So I would have been afforded the same thing. But like I said, the common denominator in all this was DJ. Like relentless. And then she had got a promotion. I'm like, so here she did. Davita means to give life. Y'all know that?
Yeah,
Davita,
absolutely.
Here
Davita's is Italian.
Yes, I am giving life. I have given life. And y'all sitting up here taking life from me. They were like destroying every avenue that they could. When I say it was relentless, I mean, they had docked my pay. I'm salary, remind you. I didn't get paid for like hours, and I started having to like send emails. I'm like, y'all are doing this stuff. Y'all are really retaliating. This is getting crazy. They started trying to move me to different clinics, and then they started like threatening me to have to do a lot more clinics when I started speaking up. I started really speaking up. Like, this stuff that y'all doing is like wrong. It's not right. And I had this one FA that she had been sent to people services, is like the human services, or if you have an issue or complaint. This lady, her name was Hendra. She'd been sent over there so many times. I
know her.
Oh my gosh. She had been sent there so many times. She came over. She was the one who played a major part in, like, they knew that I had financial hardship. Everybody, like somebody been in the hospital. Y'all know that y'all was trying to take my job. So y'all know what y'all had caused. You understand? She comes in, she messes up the pay on purpose, and then I say something to her. Then she did it again, an even higher amount. So I'm contacting people services. I'm like, they didn't took my money. This is crazy. And they refer you back to the FA. I'm like, she is the person who has done this. Like, this is an issue. And a lot of it stemmed from, it was like a domino effect. Things just kept going on. The craziest thing that happened was I was at another clinic. I was covering there, and the worker was on her break. Okay, she was clocked out on her break, like she just had clocked out, and it was a facility administrator. She came in and she told her to do something, and it was like I mean, talk to her like she was like trash, like a dog or something. Like, oh, I need you to do this. So the worker was just like, she was like, oh, I just clocked out for my break. I'm on break, and she basically was like, I don't care, you're gonna do this or whatever, like that. She jumps in her face, okay, and the worker is like, please, just like get out of my space. So she starts praying, like, please, Lord, because I'm telling you, like, Davita is off the chain. She sits down and the FA walks over to her chair. Remind you, I'm right there. I'm right there in the midst of this. And she's like, if you don't like this or something, you can get out. And she's telling her to get out. Remind you, she's over top of her like this while she's sitting down. So if she stands up, like, it's going to be like this, like, they're going to be right directly in each other's face. And next thing you know, she starts blowing her fist up like she's about to punch her in the face. And I'm like, whoa. And I don't know, that it was crazy. It was crazy. It was the craziest thing I ever saw. And I'm just like, she's about to punch her. First of all, she's on her break. And I know, people try to flip stuff around. They don't want to call a thing a thing. They're like, whoa, what this or what's this? No, she was helping me. And she even told me that she was going on her break. You understand? So I knew not to ask her to do anything because she's entitled to her break.
Right.
Like, let her get her break. So I even stopped asking her to do stuff because she was on her break. So for you to come up here and ask her to do something else and then get angry and about to punch her and all of this other stuff was crazy. So that sparked this whole investigation because there was a lot of racism at that clinic that was going on. And that facility administrator was Caucasian and the worker was African American. And she was about to punch, like when I said just punch her, I mean, if I hadn't like whoa or said anything, it would have been a bloody show out there for no reason, just because like it's just like I don't know what I can say. It's like the culture. Like at some point you're like, okay, you have these individuals and you're like, okay, stop. You shouldn't do that. You try to tell them and they don't stop. But when you're not reprimanded or you have a company that doesn't do anything to you, you get promoted, it's almost like you get rewarded for doing evil. You call good evil and evil good. It's like you get rewarded for it. So they act like this and don't expect anything to happen. They don't expect anything.
And Sade, with all this that happens, who pays for this at the end of the day? The patients.
You already know. The patients. When you have the top that's messy, most of the time the bottom is going to be messy. And I always tell people, when you see stuff going on at the bottom and 2 + 2 not equaling 4, there's something is wrong. It's usually in the top. So when things are not going right at the bottom, people always try to come for the little people and be like, oh, I'm going to do this and do that and stuff like that. That's a smoke screen. When the top is messy, it's usually in the head. It's typically when the bottom is messy, it's typically in the head. It's typically in the head.
Now, let me ask you, for people who watch it right now and that goes to these big clinics, what could you tell them? What indications could they know if their clinic is starting to be a messy clinic in their care? Not just the care that they're given by the technician, but the care from the dietitian and social worker is impacted. Because they may not even know, like they may not see a social, like a lot of patients may not know that under the condition for coverage Medicare, that patient's supposed to see a social worker. I don't know how many times a month or whatever, but I've known, I worked at places where patients haven't seen a social worker in weeks because the social worker was going to another unit, covering another unit. And say, for instance, the patient comes at 4:00 or 5:00, and the social worker may be at another unit on that particular day. Well, when does the person see the social worker if they're at another unit on the day that the person comes?
So you saying, how would the patients really be able to identify, like, if it's an issue, like with just
right. If something is going on in the unit that's going to put their care in jeopardy, and not just the care from the technicians, but missing the care of the services of the social worker and or dietitian.
So a lot of times the social workers sometimes have to move at a pace of others because a lot of the services, a lot of the things that we need are with other agencies, if that makes any sense. So if a person is in need of shelter, right? I would have to help them find resources first to see if they have it. And then I might have to fill out an application to assist them with the housing. And then you send it for them or you send it out, then you're waiting for a response to get it. So a lot of things that we do relies on other people, right? But if you are in a clinic and you don't see a social worker often, sometimes the patients get upset with the social workers. But one of the telltale signs is not seeing them often because they're probably at another clinic because they're spread so thin. And that was one of the biggest issues that I had. I had almost 200 patients at one time. Do you understand?
Wow.
CMS, I don't even.
200 patients.
Yes, I think that they capped it off at like, I think one point it was like 117, 130 or something like that. I had 200 patients. And then they had this big audit, right? And they wanted me to take the heat and say, because certain things weren't able to get done with a caseload so high.
Yeah, 200 patients.
I want to say, to be exact, it was about 191 at one time. And my patients was complimenting me like, oh my gosh, like you do it. But Davita, they were just like trying to break me. They wouldn't even give me help. But if other people started at a clinic, they had help. You understand what I'm saying? It was just like, this is just ridiculous. But I did the best I could, and I did right by my patients. I did the best that I could. And I also just made them aware I'm spread thin. I'm at other clinics and stuff. And most of them, they got it, but that's not an excuse for certain things not to be done. Sometimes you can't get certain things done, like the health insurance. Even though Davita has like health insurance coordinators, they primarily make the social workers responsible for that. And if you don't have the health insurance, because that's their money, they're about the bread. They're about the bread. That's just hands down. If you don't have certain things done or them insurances is not in line, you best to believe you're going to have a problem. Your FA going to be on you. Whoever on top of your FA going to be on them because they are concerned and worried about the money. And I understand the business aspect of business. However, you can't just focus on the money and not focus on the care. You understand what I'm saying? You can't just focus.
Absolutely.
So a lot of times if you have a social worker and they're not there like that, most of the time it's because they're spread thin. But then when you have these audits come in, they don't want you to tell how many patients you have. Because when the state auditors come in, they ask some questions. Well, how many patients that you have? What they try to get me not to tell them. And I'm like, I'm not gonna get dinged for y'all not doing what y'all supposed to do. Like, it's just, you can fool some of the people some of the time, but you can't fool them all the time. Like, no, next thing you know, you being lied, and then next thing you know, you didn't thrown you under the bus. You understand? And played me for a fool with my license. No, it's crazy. And that's a lot of time. Social workers are not protected the way that they need to be. We are mandated reporters. Social workers are mandated reporters, and they'll say, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to make sure you're doing this. And then when you say something to these people, what happens? You end up out of a job, and it's business as usual for these companies. Davita is a billionaire company. So if they had to pay out something just because they wasn't doing something, they will be pissed at me for not taking the heat or speaking up about something. But they got billions. They can just throw it away. They won't admit to any wrongdoing. And they'll just say, hey, I'll pay this $1 million or 50 million or 389 million or 500 million or however much they got to pay. But yet the people that are working for them with licenses always got to be the ones that's on the line. So we are supposed to be held at a certain standard, but the company is not. So it's like, how do you hold us as a standard, but the company not held to the standard? But y'all know what they doing. It's not like it's rocket science. It's not like we trying to figure out this big old crossword puzzle that just can't be solved or anything like that. It's clear. It'd be like, okay, oh, that's the thing right there. Okay. Oh, okay. It's like, it's right there. It's right. Everybody knows it. Everybody sees it. Everybody like, and it's not like it's hard stuff to fix. Like with the grievances, you might get somebody say, hey, This person is on the phone while I'm on the chair. And I don't want people on the phone because I feel like it violates my HIPAA. Why do you need to take that grievance out of the book? Go handle your business like a manager and deal with the grievance, deal with the complaint. Just deal with it or implement things. Hey guys, you are not supposed to be able to have the phone right here. Take it over here, right there, whatever. Well, how hard is that to do? If people are doing something that they're not supposed to do, you just correct it. They cover up one thing with another thing, then another thing with another thing, and then another thing with another thing. And by then, you just gone down this whole rabbit hole, and they can't remember the lies they told from the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow, Tamika,
I mean, that happened to you. I'm like,
I know.
I would love to have her at the unit I work at because the social worker there, like I said, she's a little racist. She does it slickly. You know, and that's why when you asked about my interaction with the social worker, I keep distance.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I already got a write up with her, so I just keep my distance because I already know what she's about. I hope you found another job somewhere that appreciate your skills and your energy because you were too good for Davita.
Oh, thank you. You know.
Oh, absolutely.
Being it like this, when I say a horror story, I was just like it can't get no worse. But some of the things that you see, like when I left, when they tried to get me to falsify like the grievances and the documents and all of that other stuff, that was the last straw for me. I was like, okay, you know, enough is enough. I mean, I've been in the meetings with them, and like the FA said, you know, yeah, I did fail you, a Black woman. She like one time they brought me in this meeting, and she basically told me that she felt like I didn't like her. And I'm like, okay. And I'm pretty much quiet at work. I really stay to myself, but I'm friendly and I'm polite and I'm passionate about what I do, you know. So I'm not a mean person. I'm a really down to earth person. I'm really frank, but I am about the business. You understand? I am about business. So I believe in getting stuff done as well. So I can play and laugh and do everything with my patients, but I'm about the business. I'm about taking care of work and business. That's just how I am. And she was talking about that she felt like I didn't like her. And I'm just like, this is her own, it was her own guilt. And she was just like, I just feel like you think I know, I failed as a Black woman. I failed you as a Black woman. And this is coming from a Black FA. And I was just like, I don't have anything to say. I'm not going to make you feel good about anything, and I'm not going to make you feel bad about anything. And the reason that she was saying this and having this conversation is because she was one of the ones that was a part of the blackballing that I had called. Wow. One of the ones that had done stuff too. And she knew that I was in a hospital. And she was like, well, it wasn't me. DJ is the one who made it like it wasn't that serious. I just thought you was being fat and sitting there eating bonbons. And that kind of took a turn. I was just like, that is such, it's just distasteful. It's distasteful. Here I am in a hospital fighting for my life. And y'all know that. Y'all got my disability stuff. Y'all got my documents, y'all got my document, everything. And to make that type of comment was just disgusting. Mm-hmm. Like it was just like, why would you even say something like that? But she had known what she had done. And I just told her, I know what you did, and you know what you did. You know, sometimes you just gotta leave it at that. Some people want to put their guilt and push their issues on you. And you already, you know what, even if we don't even speak on it to this day, and y'all keep talking about all the things that you done, you reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. And you know what you did, and I know what you did. You know what part you played in it, and I know what part that you played in it.
Wow.
And that is all that matters. Keep doing what y'all do. Keep on ordering sodium bicarbonate off the black market. Keep on doing all of that crazy stuff that you're done. Like, I mean, they just They off the chain. They'll do anything to keep $1. Like,
Yep.
it's just off the chain. Anything.
It's gonna come back to them. It's gonna come back to them.
Yeah. Sade, where do you work at now?
So I actually work for the state, and I am also doing my own thing with my business. I am trying to convert it over to telehealth so I can do telehealth services. I provide continued education credits for social workers so that they can maintain their license. And that's pretty much what I'm doing right now. I'm just trying to really get back on my feet. I can honestly say this is the first time in my life that I started to feel healthy and good again. Like, after you have such a trauma and like so many different things going on in your body, like, this is now I'm starting to feel back to normal. Like health wise, it was so much that went on. I didn't feel like myself for a long time. Like, physically, like, I used to be dizzy all the time. Like, my body had just went through so much trauma. And then on top of the stress from Davita and fighting with them constantly and just trying to be stressed at work to even to maintain the job once I was fighting to get back at the job, and then trying to advocate, and then, it was so much. I was so sick. And people say you don't appreciate anything till it's gone. Like, when you're healthy and you don't have to worry about health, you don't think about those things. You almost kind of like, oh, that it's not that you don't think it will ever happen to you, but it's not on your radar. But once you get sick and you fighting for your life and you don't know what is going to happen, Lord, that's a whole different body. Start to appreciate health so much more.
Yes, and mental wellness.
Yes, and mental wellness, absolutely. Like, I tell people, just like you go get your physical health check, you need to get your mental health check. And I was experiencing both things. The physical part was beyond my control, and I am grateful and thankful to be alive to even, take care of my child. And the mental health took a long time to get in order too, because it was trauma after trauma. Like, just going to work, you never knew what was going to happen. You never knew what they were going to say. You just never knew what you were going into. It was just awful.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yes.
Wow. So, I mean, we went over. Wow. You have said so much. It's unbelievable. But, it happens. And I'm sure other people who work in this field maybe has similar experience, not in the same way you have, but been blackballed, or even myself had an issue with Davita. So it does happen. And, we just want to let the patients know that it's not all about bed of roses when you go into these units, and there's always a hidden agenda somewhere in that. And like Sade said, they'll do anything just to, bring that money. They want their money. They wouldn't be no $1 billion company without getting that money. Wow.
That is absolutely, that's really, it's the truth. That's the truth. But like, if I could just say anything to the patients out there, no matter what, advocate for yourself. Nobody is going to take care of you like you. And sometimes you do have good people out there that really care about you. I was not always in the front line of everything, fighting for them, like on the floor where they could see, but in the back, I was fighting for things to get done. I was fighting for things to get done correctly, the right way. So always advocate for yourself, advocate for your health, advocate for anything it is that you feel like you need, and don't be afraid to speak up. Sometimes things will come. When I spoke up, a lot of things happened to me, and it was horrific. It was truly horrific. But it's important though. Sometimes it's really a light at the end of the tunnel, and you just have to do what you can.
Wow. Absolutely.
That is,
see, Tamika, I told you. We finally we couldn't find nobody to come and talk about the injustices. We only had to share our experience. And now we finally found someone that was brave enough to share the truth and to let the audience know the truth of these big companies. You know, it's the people that work in the clinic that cared, but the corporate, the management, at some point not. Some of them may care, but a lot of them, they don't, because they're pretty much under the hand of the corporate company and going by whatever business plan model or whatever model they use to turn over that productivity to make more money with less resources and putting more people to work, bringing in the money. It's just ridiculous. So,
sad,
huh?
it's personal. It's personal. They take a personal thing and take away someone's job and blackball them because of personal. And then they have all their little stupid minions add to it also.
Yes.
Which
like if one,
you have nothing to do with that.
yeah, if one don't like you, it's like the rest of them, once the word get out or they put the word out, it's almost like they want your head on a silver platter. Like, bring me her, or like Mortal Kombat type of thing, like finish her. Like
right.
But you know, it shows their life is truly miserable.
You know what? That's true.
They're
Like, who
really
has
miserable people.
Yes. Yes.
They're miserable to call and say, yeah, that's Sadie here. Yeah, I know Drew's talking about, oh, take her days off. Oh, I am. Oh, just because I'm gonna take her days off. Like, how spiteful, how miserable are you? Like, girl, oh my Lord. See?
And you know, a lot of people, they just, like I said, some people just delight in mischievous things. They just delight in doing wrong. And when you have that type of power to just like, you know, it's like you have the power to ruin a person's life. And instead of doing good, you do wrong. The worst thing is to know to do good and not do the good that you know to do. Like, you know better. And you can't, integrity is something that it cannot be taught. It cannot be bought. It is in you. So when you see people that carry out just these wicked plots that are just horrible, you start to look like, oh my gosh, like your heart is just black. Like, just it's awful. It is awful. And then they get other people to jump in on it. And other people, they got their own agenda that they want. Like, some people want raises. You know what I'm saying? Or some people want to elevate up the business plan.
And that's probably what it had a lot to do with. They wanted to be where she was at, or something like that, that they were sniffing up her behind so much that they was following her and they couldn't think on their own.
Right.
Wow.
You know, sometimes when people like hear about certain things that happen, and like, you know how you could be talking or chatting it up with other people and they may be saying things that are negative or wrong. Sometimes you'll have someone that knows it's not right and they might not even speak up that time, but later on they'll tell you stuff. Like, when I was forced out, basically, you know, it was just getting crazy. So many people contacted me and told me their stories. So many people were like, oh my gosh, you were so brave. You are like a hero to me. You're like a warrior. And they started telling me the things that they had been through. It was people that were talking about what happened to them, how they called and reported something that was going, like they were lying about mistreatments or like fudging the numbers and stuff like that, which I had been saw that when he was fudging the numbers. And it's like, when they fudge the numbers, you're really affecting the patients because the patients aren't really getting these results that you claim that they're getting. But on the other side of it, the business side, if the numbers look good, the DQI scores look good, the DQI scores look good, the higher the Medicare reimbursements are. So when you're fudging these numbers, they're not thinking about the patients. When you're saying, oh, the patient was here, they got their treatment, or they didn't do this, or they did do that. And it was this thing going on with my facility administrator, DJ, that she like put herself in there as like an alias and was like changing the numbers and things. I mean, so many things was going on, and then you get rewarded. Like she was rewarded. People were coming up to me like, "Oh my gosh!" Before I had got out or was out on leave or anything, the people were just like, "Oh my gosh, your clinic is doing well. You all are number 3 or number 4 or something like that." And I'm just like, okay, okay, no, and it wasn't the worst clinic. But when you finagle those numbers and you slick with it and you able to do those things, they get rewarded.
And
that is a reward. But we suffer because if someone comes in there and social worker did this, the first thing they like, oh, well, you're a social worker, you're licensed, or you're a nurse, you're licensed.
And Sade, a lot of patients don't know that these numbers get fudged, or don't even care to know because they come and get their treatment. But these are the stuff that what we're talking about now that happens that patients aren't even aware of, like numbers being fudged so the units can get a higher reimbursement and bonuses. And the numbers that we're talking about are numbers like what, phosphorus and potassium and maybe how many catheters they may have.
Yeah, the KTO/V and all of those things like that. Yeah.
So what happened in the crappie meeting? Have they ever tried to like attack you in the crappie meetings?
That was one of the meetings that I was in when I was told that I was fat in this home eating bonbons when I was actually in the hospital. That was what I was talking about.
That was the crappie meeting. First of all, it's doctors and stuff in there. No one said that was inappropriate.
At our meeting that we had, the doctor actually wasn't in that one. It was me, it was a AA, and I want to say the CC was in there at that time. And like you know, when things are going on and people aren't reprimanded, they don't care. It's almost like, what you gonna do to me? You get what I'm saying?
Right.
So people get sloppy with it after a while. First, they might do it like a little bit of microaggression, and they might sneak a little bit here and there. But then once you just see that you blatantly just can do whatever you want to people and treat people any kind of way, and your job ain't on the line, and nothing gonna happen to you, and you good, you don't care, you'll say certain stuff blatant, and then you can just say, oh, I didn't say that, that's your word against mine. People start to do a lot of things and proof game and all of those things like that. A lot of things happen, and it's the culture there. It's not just one clinic. A lot of the things, like, I say it. If you don't believe me, you can just Google them. Google them. They got cases and people.
Yeah.
So if you don't take my word from, please, I'm telling you, it's thousands of people out here that can tell you the nightmare of Davita. Like, it's like surviving Davita.
See, what's going to happen is they're going to get that right one that's going to come in there postal and catch the FA or whoever coming out the bathroom stall and beat the crap out of them. I'm just saying. But, they're going to get there.
We hope not, but you never know, because we living in some serious and crazy times.
Like, you don't play with people money. Like, you just don't know who is surviving day to day, that you want to play with their job, that you want to just nitpick, and you wonder why people lose it at work.
Exactly. You ain't never, as Lisa Baxter said, you ain't never lied.
And then they want to say, oh, that person is crazy, not what that person has endured in that unit.
Right. Wow.
That was covered up.
Yeah.
And
they try to make it like people are crazy. Like, like if this, you have to prove this, and you sitting in front of the person that done what they did. You know what I'm saying? Or they'll just cover it up. Oh, well, this is just a management thing. This is just a thing. No, this is a culture thing. This is a discrimination thing. This is a prejudice
That's
thing.
exactly discrimination. Yeah.
They know. They know.
They know.
I
They know. Wow.
agree. I agree.
This has been a awesome show. Would you be willing to come back like different time to time and share some social worker tips with? I'm sure a lot of warriors wish that you were their social worker. And I'm sure working for Davita for 2 or 3 years that you gathered some knowledge and some tips that could virtually help kidney patients,
especially at this time, because it's a lot that they need at this time.
Yeah, we would love to have you back time to time as a contributing social worker.
Oh, I would love to. I am totally open to that. It has been a pleasure.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's awesome. All right, Sade, I know we went past your time. I know it was an hour, but you had so much to say.
Yes.
And I just thank you for your courage to come out and speak frankly about what you went through and share your story, every detail of it. I mean, thank you so much for your honesty and sharing.
Yes.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Oh, one more question. Sheila Bradley says, so what changes are being made? What can we do about it?
You know what? I think that's a good question. And I'm just going to piggyback on what y'all said. I really think that they could use a union, or even for social workers. I think social workers need a union, just like how the police have a union and teachers have a union. I think that we should have a union for us, because a lot of times social workers are mistreated. We are overworked and underpaid, and sometimes people think that they can do whatever they want to us. However, our expertise and the things that we offer are huge. Like, we are everywhere. We're in your nursing homes. We're in your dialysis clinics. We are in your substance abuse.
Oh, absolutely. Therapist office.
Therapists, child protective services, social services, housing, we hospital. Like, we in politics, like policy. We are everywhere, but a lot of times I feel like we are just thrown to the wayside by jobs. Like, just treated like our master's degree, our license doesn't matter. Like, who would treat a doctor like that? Who would sit up there and tell a doctor, oh, you need to do this, or you need to falsify this, or do something like that? Like, some people wouldn't even approach a doctor like that, but yet people feel free to disrespect social workers. And I think that would be a good thing for social workers. But as far as Davita goes, I think they just need a whole new management thing going on there. People with some real integrity, like real, not the integrity that they have on TV, not the fake stuff, the real.
Right.
It's okay. They're going to get theirs. Like, you can't even seek vengeance on them because it's already happening. It's been happening. Especially with DJ. What's that? Dimples.
DJ.
DJ. It's already happening. It's just not for us to see it, but it's already happening. She's already miserable. She probably can't even look in the mirror at herself.
Lord.
Wow. All right, Sade, we're not going to hold you, but again, thank you for coming on and sharing your story, and we definitely look forward to having you back on in the near future.
Yes, and I pray that your business that you're starting, not trying to start, that you're starting will bloom, because
thank you.
You're good social worker, and don't let them fools make you think that you're not.
Absolutely. And I'll just keep advocating and keep being the warrior that I am.
Keep being you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes. All right, guys.
All right, Sade, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you soon. Have a good night.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right, bye-bye.
Okay.
Tamika, that was a great show. But before we go, as I promised, I'm going to show never seen release pictures of of my accident to show you how, you know, cruddy these guys are. This is where I worked at, where Tamika, this is in the locker room.
That's bicarb.
No, that's acid.
That's wow.
Yeah, that's an employee locker room, and this is where I slipped rushing to the bathroom. That I didn't even see this.
Steve, why the hell was acid in the locker room?
So what happened on the other side of the wall of these lockers, inside the wall, there's the pipes. And it's a station on the other side of that wall. It's a patient station, a sink, and then a station in the corner. And when they put these new pipes in for the loop, we had certain leaks, and no one saw it. I guess the leaks that was coming under the floor or in the walls. So if you can see up here, I don't know if you can see my cursor over to the left. That's where I slipped, one of my heel marks. This is another. You can see my heel mark.
Mm-hmm. I see the slippage. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's where I slipped. And I fell on my back.
Wow. So what they trying to say you didn't fall?
Huh?
They're trying to say you didn't.
Oh no, I fell. No, they're not saying that. But what I'm saying is there was no wet water signs, nothing. And they just tried to. So when this happened, almost similar to Sade, I wasn't able to do my job as a charge nurse coming back because I can't stand for a long period of time. So what they did was have given me charts to go through the patient's charts and pretty much do click marks to clear up or clean up the mess, the nursing notes, because, you know, they had nurses who left and nurses who never did their nursing notes, so they all accumulated. So I just went in there and did clicking, you know, in Falcon, that's their software. Right. You don't have to write anything. You just pretty much click and check, and you can close up the charts. But the thing was, Tamika, I went from 60 hours a week to 13 hours, 5 to 13 hours a week.
I remember.
You remember that?
I remember those conversations. You was like, they got to be crazy. First, I went from 60, and they give me 13 hours.
Right. What nurse? I mean, I don't know any nurse that can live off of 5 to 13 hours a week, right? That's and pay your mortgage, pay car note, pay insurance, your other bills.
They should have.
I mean, are you kidding me?
But Steve, you still could have got your hours. Even if it wasn't 60, you still could have got your 40 because there's still things that nurses need to do.
Yeah, but I'm telling you what the administrator did to me and what that was told to her, that I only could get 10 to 13 hours a week. It was nobody I could complain to, not even people services, because my limited abilities to work as a charge nurse, to stand up and to, you know, reach up and do all that. So I understand exactly what Sade was talking about. And, you know, finally, you know, in September, my case should be up for review and get this over with. But it's just crazy that a lot of stuff people go through, workers with these large companies that patients don't know nothing about, and they get fired. And then, you know, the patients say, oh, what happened to Steve? Or, like, patients want to know what happened to me. And people told them I got fired. But I did something that I, you know, before my last day, or before I knew it was going to be it, I went to the patients, each one, and told them what was going on so they could hear from the horse's mouth.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? This what happened. You won't see me no more after this day. Because, Tamika, when we develop these relationships, some techs or nurses, like if they leave the company or they quit, they don't say bye to the patients. And some patients get attached to people. And I know when you like suddenly discharge a relationship like that and you don't resolve it or close the relationship, I mean, you don't know how that make that patient feel, what they may go, you know, what feelings they may get out of that, because they may have really, really liked you because you meant
feel safe and comfortable.
Exactly.
You know.
But they didn't tell you, but that's how they felt. And all of a sudden one day they come in and you're not there anymore.
Wow.
So, but this was a great show, Tamika. I really appreciate Sade coming on, and look forward to her just adding some content, because I know she can help a lot of people out there.
Right. And you know, I hope this allows more people to come forward, you know, the different things that go on in the unit, so we can kind of bring awareness to it too. I mean, because it's only right. That girl was blackballed for nothing, for a personal issue that Dimples or DJ or whatever the hell her name is had.
Yeah. I mean, and we talking about somebody just had a baby and the income and stuff.
2 weeks. Steve, I was out from my job from September 2018 to March 2019, and that's when they let me go. And then I reapplied April, and
so you had to reapply for your job.
I had to reapply, but it was fine because she was waiting for me to come back.
Right,
she just let me know, and then, you know, we'll open up a per diem position. I know you're going through a lot. I know you just had surgery, and my job was willing to work with me. I was out a couple times. I was out from the Achilles. I was out from the pregnancies. I was out from the meniscus tear. I was out.
I remember that.
I was out for.
You were out for a lot of stuff.
Yes, but my boss, she's by the book. She does it by the book. There's nothing personal, you know, because I do my job.
You're right.
I think that's crazy. She should get some type of money for the mental anguish that she went through, the stress, her losing herself in the midst of all this craziness.
Absolutely, I agree.
I don't know if money will be able to compensate for what she lost or what she had to find, but something needs to be done for her case, because that's crazy. I'll tell you that, Steve. Me and Dimples,
DJ,
we would have had a meeting in the ladies' room.
Right. Coming to meet.
You just don't do that. You just don't do that to people. You just don't take away their livelihood for personal vendetta. You don't do that. Young ladies in the hospital fighting to keep the other baby inside of her. Do you know how scary that is when you know? When you feel like you're about to lose this other baby, and you have to sit tight and literally clench everything to keep that other baby inside, and then you get a phone call or you get some mail saying you done lost your job. Then you done lost your job, you lost your medical benefits. She got to figure out how she gonna pay the bills at the house, everything, and then still try to keep her sanity to keep that baby inside, less stressed and healthy.
Yeah, I can't imagine. That
was a lot.
Wow. Yeah.
Give me some sage, Steve. I gotta sage my energy because I go back to work on Saturday.
Oh, okay. And M. Corrales, you're right. Our channel should be bigger. Please share this broadcast. We're trying to get more YouTube followers. So Thank you for joining and watching. Thank you for your support. Really.
It needs to be a better chain of command when it comes to terminating employees. Like, it needs to be a checklist. Did they do this? Did they do not on some personal bull crap? That's crazy, because you could just not like someone and you should not be in control of saying whether they have their job or not because you have a personal issue with that person. That is crazy.
Yeah.
I've had that happen to me. That is crazy.
Yeah. EEOC and all them guys would have had to been called.
No, I didn't even know about the EEOC or whatever. I was like 25. So I didn't even know about that. I didn't even know what was going on until I got older, and I mentally revisited what happened to me with the FA Thesely Alvarez from Davita 38th and Market. You know,
PA,
in Philadelphia, PA, yes. You know,
yeah.
I remember trying to get time off for my grandma. She had breast cancer. And she looked me up and down like I was crazy. But then when I stopped talking to her because I seen what she did to another technician, she used to call me off the floor, Steve. We'll be short like 3 texts. It'll be one tech on the first. She will call me off the floor to tell me about why, to say, when I came in, you didn't speak. People say you're not speaking. Well, that's a lie, because I speak to everyone except for you. I don't have to speak to you. As long as I say good morning and good evening, and that's it, I don't have to have no conversation with you. That is not in my job requirements to say, Thesely, this is what's going on in my life. And I don't give a damn about to tell you any of that.
Right.
So,
I hear you, man. I mean, I know it's crazy.
I say good morning. And when I leave, I say good evening. And that's it. I don't have to say nothing else out of my mouth. Unless I'm talking to the patients. What's your weight? Did you wash your access? How are you feeling? Have you had any problems since your last treatment? Diarrhea, nausea, indigestion? Like, what? You know, I don't have to have these conversations with my FA.
That's true. As long as you do your work and what's expected.
As long as I do my work. She couldn't get me on my work. She got me on throwing tape into the damn lab. Who don't throw the tape into the lab? As they're walking out. You just get finished taping up the bio boxes and you done and you walk past the lab. Do you think I'm going to walk in the lab? No, I'm going to throw that damn tape in there and keep it moving. It's time to go home.
Right.
Anyway, I digress. I'm getting sage.
Yeah, you get that sage out.
No, because they shouldn't have did that to her. That is
I agree. Shit, I know how these people in Baltimore work too.
The newspaper, just start writing everyone. Start CCing every damn body.
Right. Well, something may come out of it.
Yes.
All right. We gotta get out of here. We didn't went over our time, but it was a good time as well. You all right?
I got zoned out.
All right.
Oh Lord, Jesus!
You're crazy. That's why I love you.
I'm so serious. Like, damn that. Like, no, because I know what it's like to be pregnant. I fell at Davita when I was 6 months pregnant with my son Tyrell. You know, I know what it's like to be stressed by a job and scared that you're going to lose your job and go through the bull crap that you shouldn't have to go through. And what she went through, that is ridiculous. I would have had my cousins meet some goddamn body outside the job.
I hear you.
Little Ray and Pookie would have been sitting on somebody's porch, but
right, you crazy.
Woo. But yes, but thank God she made it through, you know, and it makes her stronger, and she's able to tell her story, and maybe will help someone else going through that, you know, where they come out on top.
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. So we hope someone definitely got something from this story. And we definitely see you next week with another great show.
Yes. Oh my God. And thank you guys for constantly supporting us. We are real people. We are not puppets. We are not robots. You know, and we don't get paid for these broadcasts. These are just coming from our heart to educate the masses.
You're right about that. And that's what we will do.
Yes. And I was at work at 4:00 this morning, so that's why my eyes look like this. And I'm fighting.
Oh, okay. Yeah, get some sleep.
I am, but it had to come on.
That's
so
right.
It's all good though. It's all good. So
all right, Tamika.
all right, Steve.
All right, give you a holler as usual. And thank you guys for watching. What's your message, Tamika?
Your kidneys matter. And donate your spare also.
Absolutely.
If you have a good kidney or someone's not in the best condition and, they're leaving this earth for transition and, share their organs, because there's a lot of people out here that really need it. And you have some patients that's literally on their last mental days of dialysis. Not physical days, but their last mental days, meaning like they can no longer take this.
You're right. You're right. All right, guys. Have a good night. Good weekend. And tune in tomorrow at 8:00 for Kidney Stories 2 with Uncle Jim.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Good night, everyone.
Good night.
I've been walking beneath streetlights. I've been walking, cause I can't find peace on these nights. I've been walking, but my strides are getting slower. Still I'm walking, but I don't know where I'm going. I've been looking for love, but only found deception. Told my secrets to some people who